Hi, I'm Tony Bowen, and welcome to my Corn Country Rails. Well, this is the first part in a series I'm going to do on how I'm scratch building the Grinnell, Iowa Depot in N scale. So this first part is going to be a lot of history on the Grinnell, Iowa Depot, and then in the following months, I'm going to take you through the process of how I'm scratch building it, and so every month there'll be kind of an update on my progress until I finally reach its completion. So if this is something that interests you, I hope you'll plan to tune in every month to see the progress. And as always, happy railroading to you, and thank you for watching.
The first railroad to arrive in Grinnell was in 1863, and it was the M&M Railroad, which was a subsidiary railroad of the Rock Island. Basically, the M&M, the Missouri and Mississippi Railroad, did a lot of the grading and right-of-way work, and then later on, basically, the Rock Island absorbed them and continued their trackage rights east to west to Council Bluffs. From the north, heading south, we had the M and St. L Railroad. And so the M and St. L crossed over the Rock Island at Grinnell, forming a diamond, which makes it a very unique spot to model on my railroad. So as previously stated, the first train arrived in Grinnell in June 1863. And before any trains even ran through the state, J.B. Grinnell was told by the owners of the Rock Island the planned site of an intersection where a north-south and east-west railways would be. The town was founded on that site in 1854, 9 years before the first train ever arrived in Grinnell. The depot was a main hub of transportation in and out of Grinnell for decades, bringing people and goods from around the country. The Rock Island Station was constructed in 1893, replacing the original wooden depot, which was probably built by the M&M Railroad. It cost $5,000. The round tower on the corner gave clear view of both lines to operate the telegraph and signals to direct traffic at the intersection of the north-south and east-west main lines. Before the days of the Interstate 80 and inexpensive air travel, college students often traveled to and from the Grinnell College via the train. Passenger train service to the Grinnell Depot ended by the early 1970s, and the Grinnell Depot, once the hub of local activities, started to fall in disrepair, along with the rest of the Rock Island at that time. During the 1990s, the depot was renovated and turned into a restaurant called the Depot Crossing. The restaurant closed during the COVID pandemic in 2020, and the building was put up for sale. Just as a side note, my wife and I ate there when it was the Depot Crossing when we were first dating. Excellent food, as I can remember. Here's what the depot would look like today. This is just a Google search image. To the west end of the depot, they have added on, that was extra dining when it was still a restaurant. And then to the north end of the depot, they added on, and that was for the kitchen. And then they also had a cooler that was outside, along with their dumpsters and that. So this is pretty much what it would look like today if you went to visit. And the last I knew, the building was for sale when I went to see it in 2022. I don't know if that status has changed. So to help me get started with my modeling project, I basically put a call out on the internet, on Facebook and that, and said, hey, if you've got any Grinnell Depot information, please send it my way. And I have to thank a lot of my modeling friends, which I will at the end of this video, because they came through sending lots of photos. Interesting photo here of a Rock Island train in front of the depot, but what's neat is also a hotel that sat west of the depot that I believe was destroyed by a fire. I've spent a lot of time studying this photo. Gives great view of the windows, the brickwork and the limestone, and also it's a early photo before the station platform is added on to the depot. So in these next few photos, you can see that now there's an awning that's been added over the platform. Looks like this was about 90 feet long, but I noticed that it keeps getting kind of cut back in time. By 1975, there's just a very short platform covering, but this was only on the Rock Island side of the depot. The M and St. L did not have any kind of covering like this going towards their track. Here's an example of the M and St. L steam engine headed south, getting ready to pull up to the Grinnell depot. So after looking at several depot pictures of the Grinnell depot, this is the one I think I'm going to go with. I like the looks of the depot with the Rock Island emblem and M and St. L emblem right there on the corner of the turret of the depot, the semaphore and the M and St. L signal right there. So I think this is what I'll base my model off of. So here are just a few more photos I've included. Here's an eastbound train pulling into the Grinnell depot. You can see the Railway Express Agency building in the background. In this photo, you get a good view of the Edmund St. L side of the depot from the backside looking south. In this picture, here's an M and St. L train headed south as we're looking to the north. And a few various Rock Island westbound trains making a stop at the Grinnell depot. In this shot, obviously, passenger service has stopped and the depot is starting to fall into disrepair. And in this photo, different than the photo before it, the station platform awning is totally removed and gone. And in this photo, the semaphore train order board is now removed from the depot as well. And thanks to the ICC and having items on public domain, these prints from the 1916 and 1918 views of the depot have come in very handy for the scratch building project. So in 2022, my wife and I found ourselves in the Grinnell area. So right across from the depot is the old REA freight station, which now houses the Model Railroad Club, and they have a scratch-built version of the Grinnell depot. And so I took some research photos while I was there. Here's looking east towards the depot. Here's looking towards the north where it's the restaurant, and then where it connects to the depot itself. The original depot, built in 1893, still very good shape after being preserved. Good view of the diamond and the M and St. L track there. Another view of the diamond. Now we're looking at the M and St. L side of the depot, looking west. Rock Island mechanical and electrical shed. Here's the kitchen area. This would be on the M and St. L. This is the back side. And on the back side, it basically had two big baggage door areas, one that served the Rock Island side, one that served the M and St. L side. And when it was still the depot crossing, this was the main entrance into the restaurant. So overall, it's a very neat and well-preserved depot, and I hope that something soon will move into it if something hasn't already. So this photo from the inside, just kind of a disclaimer here that the 7 windows around the top section, it never had a second floor. That was just natural lighting and aesthetic, but it never had anything upstairs. That bump out for the tower basically was split in half, with half of it being an office for the M and St. L, the other half being an office for the Rock Island. And of course, it was great timing to be there and hear a train also come through town. Wasn't on the Iowa Interstate or the old Rock Island Main Line, but instead it was a Union Pacific coming down the Emmons-St. Main Line headed south. So, having some plans and some dimensions in front of me, I started building just a little mock-up for where my Grinnell depot would possibly go on my layout. There's a few little obstacles. My diamond is a little more slanted degree than kind of a true 90 degree that was in Grinnell. So the platform on one side, the Emmons-St. side, is going to be a little skewed from what the prototype would be. With this just being a mock-up, I used an old medicine bottle that I cut to a scale 23 feet, so I had kind of an idea of how tall the tower would be. And the white piece of styrene that is on the platform side of the Rock Island roughly represents the part that would have a canopy. The original platform there that was covered was 90 feet long, and I plan on doing 90 feet since I have the room for it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this first part of my Grinnell Depot scratch building project. Like I said, this was pretty much the history part. In part two, I'll start on the scratch building part and kind of construction. I'd also like to thank the following people who either provided me with some email information or photos or sources of information that I could use. So I'd like to thank Paul Shucks, Steve Heil, David Street, Doug Harding, and then Tom Klimzak. So thank you all, and happy railroading to everybody, and I hope you'll tune in next month with part 2 of my construction build. Take care for now, everybody. Bye-bye.